We have breaking details in the 2013 Jessica Heringa disappearance. Murder and kidnapping charges are now being filed against Jeffrey Willis in this case. We want to send things to Muskegon right now, where the county prosecutor is going to detail these new charges. You can see he's just getting ready to take the podium right now. This is a case that, of course, that has gained a lot of attention across West Michigan. We are awaiting to hear what he has to say. Let's listen in.
To bring everybody up to speed, as I indicated in my email to you, I wanted to give the media an update as to where we are with the Jessica Heringa investigation. Late yesterday afternoon, my office issued charges against Jeffrey Willis and Kevin Bloom. Jeffrey Willis has been charged with the kidnapping and murder of Jessica Heringa, and Kevin Bloom has been charged with accessory after the fact in relationship to the death of Jessica Heringa.
Muskegon 911, where's your emergency?
Yeah, I just got work. I'm at the Exxon,
okay,
and there's nobody here. It is very suspicious.
Today, family, friends, and complete strangers have been here all morning picking up flyers.
It was like a gut feeling something bad happened.
They're one of the most incredibly friendly, helpful people that you would ever meet. Unfortunately, that makes her pretty susceptible to creepy people that want to do bad things to her.
As of today, Jeffrey Willis, he's allegedly the killer of Jessica Heringa. We've charged him as such.
It's been 3 years, 4 months, and 25 days since Jessica Heringa was kidnapped. Today, finally, murder charges. Thank you for joining us tonight at 5 o'clock. I'm Susan Shaw. We're live from our Art Prize studio at the Grand Rapids Art Museum.
Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker immediately started working his sources and was the only reporter to confirm that Willis would be charged with murder. Ken's live tonight with what prosecutors are saying about the charges. Ken?
Yeah, Brian, since Jeffrey Willis' arrest in May on a separate kidnapping charge, he has been the focus in Jessica's disappearance. Now, what's not clear is what finally led to today's charges.
In my opinion, we found Jessica's killer.
Jeffrey Willis, a 46-year-old former furniture factory worker, married, father of one.
It's probably a good moment to recall the hero in all of this, the 16-year-old girl who managed to escape from Willis back in April. And instead of being his next victim, she helped put him behind bars. 24-Hour News 8's Heather Walker, the only reporter who has interviewed that teenager, and Heather joins us live here from outside of the courthouse tonight. How is she doing? You talked to her today.
Well, she's shaken up still, but I cannot reiterate how brave she is. And when I spoke to her back in May, she told me everything about her encounter with Jeffrey Willis. Take a listen again.
And then this silver van pulled up and he asked me if I wanted to lift. And I told him no, I just wanted to use his phone. And then I asked him where Buys was, because I knew how to get home from there. And he told me it was the opposite direction of where I was going. And he told me just get in and I can use his phone. Just didn't pull out a gun. So I jumped out of the car and he chased me down. Well, he went to the back of his car, stopped the car and ran to the back of his, and was still pointing the gun at me. And I was just screaming not to kill me. And I love my family and don't do anything and don't hurt me. I thought he was gonna kill me and I thought he was gonna take me. I was just scared.
I reached out to her again today after the news broke about the charges. She still has too much anxiety to speak on camera. I think the reality of how close she was to becoming another murder victim of Jeffrey Willis is really sinking in, but she did say that she was happy for the Heringa family that they are finally getting some answers. She actually was told along with the Heringa family about those charges last night, but today the prosecutor again calling her a hero, and she really is, Brian. I mean, she's a hero in this. She's the reason why they've been able to take these cases and actually go forward with charges.
Let's take a look back at the timeline of this case. It has been somewhat of an ordeal. It has been a drama that's gripped this area for 3 years. It was April 26, 2013. Jessica Heringa went missing from that Norton Shores gas station where she was working alone. She was last seen there, her final transaction that night at 10:51.
This is a breaking news alert from 24-Hour News 8.
And good evening again, everyone. Brian Sterling reporting live from Muskegon tonight after a big day of breaks and developments in the Jessica Heringa murder case. Charges finally brought against Jeffrey Willis in this 3-year-long ordeal. Here's what happened today. We brought you that live announcement that Willis would be charged with murder and kidnapping in Heringa's death. The man who announced these charges today, Muskegon County Prosecutor D.J. Hilson, joins us live from the courthouse steps tonight. I would say congratulations, but that's probably premature just based on this case still has one more hurdle to go. How confident are you?
Well, I mean, obviously, I felt confident enough to issue charges, and when we do that, especially when I make that decision, I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to be successful in bringing justice in this particular case to Jessica. So, there's no guarantees, but we will be working very diligently and very hard to put our best case forward.
Sue, her name is Carrie Mitchell, and she's joining us live here from outside of the courthouse in Muskegon tonight. Carrie, way back in those confusing days in 2013, you went out to the parking lot of where that gas station was, and you noticed Jessica's family, her grandmother and mother had gathered, and they didn't have anyone helping them. You stepped in, started the Facebook page. What can you tell us about their reaction to the news today?
I haven't really got to speak to them for a great deal of time, but I did speak to Jessica's grandma, and she's sad. She's shocked. She's shocked.
Tonight we are focusing on the pivotal developments in the Jeffrey Willis investigation. The murders of two West Michigan mothers, Jessica Heringa and Rebecca Bletch. Could this man be behind them? Jeffrey Willis, now officially charged in both of their deaths. We have been breaking news on this all day. Susan Shaw and our crews took you live inside the courtroom as the suspected killer faced a judge this afternoon. And now at 7, my colleague Brian Sterling is live at the Muskegon County Courthouse to get you up to speed at 7. Hi, Brian. It's been a busy and emotional day for a lot of families.
Busy, emotional, Marley. I think there was a finality maybe to today's announcement. The Heringa family chose not to come. They were avoiding the media spotlight. Of course, a lot of attention has been on this case. Rebecca Bletch's family, though, was here in court today, and you could just tell as they came and went from after the proceedings that they were emotionally drained, but they did speak to the media today. Willis, as you mentioned, now facing open murder and kidnapping charges for the suspected death of Jessica Heringa. They think that Willis restrained Jessica and took her from that gas station in Norton Shores where she worked late at night, and that he intended to sexually assault her. That's in the complaint. But remember, police, they don't have a body. Jessica is still out there somewhere, so what evidence do they have? Well, they're keeping all of that very close to their vest today, and of course it won't come out until that preliminary hearing later on. Willis, already charged, as mentioned, with the shooting death of Becky Bletch. Her family in court today, very emotional. Moments after Willis, though, was brought up on murder charges, his cousin, Kevin Bloom, entered the courtroom. Now, he's being charged as an accessory after the fact in Heringa's death. That means that they think he had something to do with Jessica's murder after she was killed. Again, what evidence have against Bloom, they're not just revealing yet. This is a big turn in a couple of our most high-profile murder cases. We will be staying out here live tonight, Marley. Sarah Hurwitz is checking in with some of the residents around here, and we'll have a full recap of some of the stuff we couldn't get to out of the court proceedings today. Again, a very busy day, a very emotional day in Muskegon, but maybe some closure as prosecutors think they have the killer of Jessica Heringa. Marley, we'll send it back to you.
We can only hope, Brian, and yes, just mind-blowing developments in these cases. Well, now we're going to take the Heringa story further. As Brian mentioned, there is no body, so can this case be effectively tried? 24-Hour News 8 Ken Kolker broke the news of charges earlier today. He's now live in Muskegon to give us some perspective on all of this. So Ken, have police given any indication that they have any concrete evidence leading to Willis?
You know, as Brian was saying, they're being very tight-lipped about this. We do know that they've done a number of searches. Just earlier this month, they were searching Jeffrey Willis's grandfather's house. Now, you know, we don't know if they've got some trace evidence from that home, from the basement, that, you know, perhaps they've got a DNA test result back, which allow them to, you know, file these charges. You know, we do also know that they've searched his computer. So there might be you know, putting all this evidence together, maybe that was enough to finally tip the scale.
Now at 11, we broke this story on WoodTV.com. Jeffrey Willis charged with killing Jessica Heringa. Tonight, we'll walk you through today's blockbuster developments and explain why authorities are confident they've got their man. And we start tonight with the biggest development in the Jessica Heringa case since her disappearance more than 3 years ago. Today, Jeffrey Willis, a man already charged with the 2014 murder, is now charged with kidnapping and killing Heringa. Brian Sterling has been anchoring our coverage from Muskegon all day. He's joining us live once again tonight. Brian?
Marley, it is a bittersweet day for the Jessica Haringa family. Of course, it's a giant step on the road to justice, but they're still left without their daughter, their mother, and their sister, and that's a void that will never be filled. But they do perhaps have the comfort tonight of knowing the man who may have killed her. Jeffrey Willis, a man prosecutors have called a monster. Moments after Willis walked out of court today, it was his cousin, Kevin Bloom, who walked into the same courtroom. Bloom, a former corrections officer, charged today with being an accessory after the fact in Haringa's kidnapping and murder. 24-Hour News 8's Sarah Hurwitz joining me now in Muskegon tonight with a breakdown of today's huge development. Sarah.
Well, Brian, an emotional day for families. Now, as news came out of Rebecca Bletch's alleged killer, her father says that it gave him some peace after not knowing what happened to his daughter. And now, after more than 3 years, the Haringa family learning the same man allegedly killed their Jessica, not the news that a family friend says that they were hoping for.
After several weeks of conversations with my staff, myself, and investigators, late yesterday afternoon, my office issued charges against Jeffrey Willis and Kevin Bloom. Jeffrey Willis has been charged with the kidnapping and murder of Jessica Haringa, and Kevin Bloom has been charged with accessory after the fact in relationship to the death of Jessica Haringa.
Muskegon County Prosecutor DJ Hilson making that announcement this morning after 24-Hour News 8 broke the story on WoodTV.com, saying that he wouldn't go into detail about the evidence that led the department to charge Willis.
This comes at a time that a lot of people, including the Haringa family, have been waiting for many years.
Later this afternoon, Willis making direct eye contact with what appeared to be a smirk on his face as Willis walked by prosecutors at his arraignment.
The felony complaint in this case, Mr. Willis, reads that Jeffrey Thomas Willis, on or about April 26 of 2013 in the city of Norton Shores, County Muskegon, State of Michigan, at or near 1196 East Sternberg Road, that you did in count 1, murder Jessica Lynn Haringa.
In contrast, Willis's cousin Kevin Bloom avoiding eye contact as he entered the room, charged with accessory after the fact in Haringa's kidnapping and murder. Haringa's family not present in the courtroom, but Rebecca Bletch's father was.
My heart goes out to the Haringa family. I want to express my condolences to them. Everyone in that family, my heart goes out to you.
Here's again a recap of how this case all unfolded. It was April 26, 2013, over 3 years ago. Jessica working that late shift at the gas station all by herself. No security cameras. Her final transaction was rung up at 10:51 that night. Moments later, a customer was alarmed by the empty store and even called 911. Police later revealed that a silver minivan was caught on surveillance camera driving away from the scene. Willis has a similar van. Back then, the police actually searched the vehicle. They talked to Willis. They even checked his cell phone. But along with hundreds of other vans, they found nothing. It would be 3 years before Willis would be named a person of interest. A closer look now at why authorities call him a monster. Tonight, Willis is already awaiting trial for the 2014 murder of Rebecca Bletch. He's also awaiting trial and kidnapping charges for attempting to kidnap a 16-year-old girl this past April. That girl actually cracked the case wide open, led to all the other evidence. Police say they found evidence in his van after the arrest, evidence that included handcuffs, rope, syringes, and images of bound and gagged women. And when investigators went even deeper and searched his computers and hard drives, they found necrophilia and kidnap and kill videos downloaded from the internet, some of which the authorities say were real. But again tonight, the questions still remain. What happened to Jessica? Where are her remains? Where is she? Her family desperately wants her back. They want those answers, and we'll await to see what evidence the prosecutors have against Willis when they drag him back into court for his prelim, and that's coming up next month. Marley, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, that definitely will answer a lot when we are in court next. Brian, thank you for that. And our coverage continues on WoodTV.com. You'll find all of our past stories and interactive timelines of both the Willis investigation and the Haringa case.
We are learning new horrific details about the evidence that led to a murder charge against Jeffrey Willis in the Jessica Haringa case.
Today, through court documents, we found evidence of phone records, credit card statements, and an account from Willis's cousin, Kevin Bloom. We have team coverage again for you tonight, breaking down today's new developments in the Willis investigation. Heather Walker is focusing on the location that police believe that Jessica's body was buried. But we want to start tonight with Ken Kolker, who's detailing all of the evidence we've learned. Ken.
Yeah, Brian and Sue, this 16-page affidavit lays out the evidence used by a Norton Shores police lieutenant to get a warrant charging Willis and Kevin Bloom. Much of the case is based on the initial statement made by Willis's cousin Kevin Bloom, a former state prison sergeant. In June, Bloom gave police a detailed story about Willis and Jessica, then later said he had made it up. But now it appears police believe his initial story. Bloom told police he went to the home of Willis's late grandfather on Bailey Street in Norton Shores the day after Jessica disappeared, that he saw her lying unclothed on the basement floor with her hands tied and an obvious head wound. He says she appeared deceased and that Willis was standing next to her. He allegedly told police the body was wrapped like a quote-unquote taco in a sheet and that he helped carry her to Willis's van. Willis's cousin told police he then helped carry the body to a spot near old railroad tracks at Sheridan and Laketon, not far from Willis's home. He said a hole already was dug and that shovels were already there. He says he helped bury her. Police have searched that area without success. But there is more than just the cousin's account, and this could be key. Police say they found accessory parts from a Walther P22 handgun at the gas station the night Jessica disappeared. They say they believe the parts came from the gun seized from Willis after his arrest in May. The same gun they say he used to kill Rebecca Bletch.
That is where 24-hour News 8's Heather Walker is live. Heather?
Sue, this is the spot where investigators say Jessica Herringa was buried. It's the pathway of an old railroad track. You can see it's a very secluded area. It's wooded. It's right off of Sheridan, down the street from where Willis lived. But investigators say she's since been moved. Where remains unknown.
For the Herringa family.
Both Lieutenant Casher and Chief Gale have made that commitment to the Herringa family that this doesn't end the saga, so to speak, that we're going to continue to look and follow any leads that we get in order to bring her home.
Muskegon County Prosecutor DJ Hilson says investigators have been to this site north of Laketon on Sheridan at least 3 times. It's conveniently located a third of a mile from Jeffrey Willis's home.